Hi, I'm Rosa Santana, also known as Yogarosa. Let's look at Virasana, the hero pose. So basically you're sitting on your shins and the feet are pointing back. I'm going to show you from the back and some tips. So we'll start off with the head on the floor and the feet parallel. Notice my hands. Taking the fingers at the very top of the calf flesh, I'm pulling the calf away from the knee as I sit. So I push and I sit. I push back and I sit until I sit between my feet, maybe. In the event that your buttocks don't land on the floor, you can take a block for support so that the sitting bones are supported. If this isn't enough height, the block can turn. And if that's still not enough comfort, the blanket can go between the buttocks and the block to give more support. The important part of Virasana is that there should be a sense of comfort. So I'm coming here so you can see. So in the outer edges of the feet, if you look here, there's a tendency for this outer edges to lift up. So with the thumbs, if you just push down and spread that skin outward, you might notice something. So go ahead and take your thumbs on the outer edges of the feet, push down and out, as if you're trying to get the little toe side of the foot to come down closer to the floor. You might even notice what happens to the thighs. So take a look at your thighs and notice what's happening. I'll show you mine in just a minute. In the meantime also, notice what your toes are doing. So they have a tendency to get all congested. So let's take the fingers between the big toe and the second toe and spread out the big toes towards one another. Make each toe long. Each one of them is important. And spread them out so that they have room. Like a family. Everybody deserves to have their space. Then, once the feet are pressing down like this and there's room in the feet, you can lift up and lengthen the torso upwards. This is a pose for meditation. It's also a really good pose to strengthen the arches of the feet. And it's also a really good pose if you have a tendency to stand a lot on your feet. It regenerates the legs. I'm going to show you the front view. Sometimes when we sit in Virasana without any support, what can happen is that the knees can turn. If you notice here, my knees are rolling inwards, the thighs are rolling inwards. So I wouldn't be able to stay here for too long. But when I take the support, a couple of things happen. When I sit, then the thighs have a little more freedom to roll out a bit so that the knees are actually not rolling inwards and getting congested. There's space now. This is a desirable action for our Virasana. The elevation also allows you to be able to stay sitting in this position. So let's say that this is a pose that you choose to meditate in. It will be much more comfortable if you're sitting up higher rather than sinking down. Now, this rotation of the thighs gives also a good mobility into the hips. So go ahead and try it here. When you roll the thighs out, what happens to this part of the body? If you purposely roll the thighs in, what happens to this whole region? This is a really important element in our practice, is to try different actions and find out what happens. Because then these poses actually help us to get to know ourselves better. And that's a good thing. The more you get to know yourself, the easier it is for you to be a better person outside of your mat. Namaste.